So, in our last video, we spoke on the power levels and fighting abilities of Unavatu. Now we move on to his adversary, Cosmic Korra. Is she truly his superior in combat, or did she defeat him through a fluke? Let's discuss. Hey guys, welcome back to my series where I grade the Avatar characters and their fighting abilities to find out where they stack up against each other. Today, we will analyze the martial skill and bending abilities of Cosmic Korra. We'll do this by looking at a few key items and coming up with a final grade. Those items, along with their time codes, are as follows. So let's go over a few highlights of Cosmic Korra. She is a manifestation of Korra's pure spirit and its fusion with the cosmic energy which was channeled through the Tree of Time. And it should be noted that this all happened during harmonic convergence under extremely specific circumstances. As stated in my previous video in this series, this character also comes from my least favorite season of Avatar, with my least favorite finale and my least favorite combatant. But I'd like to think that I can separate my ability to assess fighting abilities from entertainment value, or lack thereof. So with these grading videos, I like to look at a character's reputation to sort of get a ballpark of where they're at. However, with a character like Cosmic Korra, that doesn't quite work, as she is an entirely new being never before seen before harmonic convergence. The same goes with accolades, either from the lore or from other in-world characters. Our best form of assessing Cosmic Korra will come purely on the back of scaling, in particular, scaling with Unavatu, which we covered in the last video, which leads us to the hypothesis of my conclusion. In the previous video, I hypothesized that Unavatu would be an SS plus character, and considering that the majority of this video will just be scaled to him, I would extend that same hypothesis to Cosmic Korra as well, whereas she should be an SS plus character. So let's see if that actually checks out. In terms of dexterity from Cosmic Korra, we've seen her go hand to hand, outmatching Unavatu's tendrils, which have been observed to be fast enough to pull 100-mile-per-hour planes from the sky. In terms of strength, Cosmic Korra runs through Yue Bay with almost no significant slowdown. That means she's running through 300 to 400 tons of water. For context, that's around 200 cars worth of weight. Again, with keeping scaling in mind, she manhandles Unavatu, who we've seen is capable of pulling down a Statue of Liberty-sized statue of Aang, meaning that he should be pretty strong. And if Korra can actually have her way with him, that would mean in turn she too is strong. And we should also keep in mind that the weight of the statue should be around 125 tons. Cosmic Korra effectively takes a direct energy beam from Unavatu. And her only worst showing in all of her physical abilities is that her fortitude after taking a second energy beam straight to the chest, she was knocked out by Unavatu. So when it comes to pure physicality, when energy bending and spirit bending were not in play, Cosmic Korra was clearly Unavatu's superior. And since he is the strongest opponent we've seen in the Avatarverse, that would effectively make Cosmic Korra the most skilled martial artist at this high scale. Thus, she should be given a perfect score of 100 at the SS plus ranking of the grading scale. Cosmic Korra possesses the ability to subdue any spirit-based enemy, with her best feat coming by way of pacifying Unavatu, a dark entity capable of creating 10,000 years of darkness across the entire planet. This is quite significant because she was able to do this in particular without any direct assistance from Raava. Whereas before, Korra's greatest power, her avatar state and her avatar abilities, always manifested from the abilities given to her by Raava, also known as the Avatar Spirit in the original series. Were it not for Jenora's intervention, Korra's spirit would have been disintegrated into nothingness, and like what happened with Unalaq, she would have been effectively killed. Though, unlike Unalaq, she would have still had her body, which regardless would have most likely been left a vegetable. In terms of scale, we've seen her energy beam, which again has to be scaled to Unavatu, and we can see that those energy beams are capable of cutting through metal and obliterating landscapes. Now in terms of her worst showings, at least in a general sense, her only viable bending option seems to be her energy beams. Unlike Unalaq, she does not have access to water or even fire or earth or air since Raava was severed from her, and Raava was sort of that conduit who held all the elements. However, despite lacking any water bending or any other form of bending, which might not matter since she harnesses pure energy bending, which, from what we've seen in the series, surpasses all other forms of bending, Korra still holds to the top tier of combative bending abilities. However, I might give her a slight markdown from a grade of 100 to 99 based on the matter of versatility, simply because Unavatu has both water bending and energy bending at his disposal. Really, the only best strategy we've seen from Korra is her ability to outfight Unavatu via a varied use of energy bending and martial skill. And that said, it makes it really hard to assess this because the only sole opponent we've seen for Cosmic Korra is Unavatu, who I previously stated was a mediocre tactician and strategist at best. However, we can take Korra from what we know from her as a base character, but this one's definitely going to be more hypothetical than I would like, as I have not done an assessment of Korra yet in this series. But in terms of a hypothesis of what I think my tactical outlook on her is that she is definitely above average. So I would put her in the class of a B, maybe an A, but again, that depends on how I would assess Korra going forward. However, in terms of looking at this character, this Cosmic Korra character, it doesn't really matter because again, her power is so far above, and we know that she is at least above the scaling of Unavatu. So I am most comfortable giving her a grade somewhere ranging in the B tier. Being a pure manifestation of Korra's spirit, there would be a morality cap depending on the opponent she is facing. Of course, when going up against Unavatu, she'd be working at full capacity with no remorse. But if she were taking on almost anyone else, she wouldn't be looking for the kill straight away in most cases. Still, she would remain an effective fighter at all times, simply based on her previous fights in her human form. So a score of 90 or above, SS- should work here. So, as a final grade, I think the hypothesis holds up in that Cosmic Korra is clearly a top-tier fighter, if not the most powerful character in all of Avatar. The reason I hesitate in giving her the definitive title, however, is because I see her and Unavatu as equals, with only a sliver of real difference between the two. Sure, Cosmic Korra has superior martial skill and Unavatu has the added bonus of waterbending, but both edges are cancelled out when the two would always eventually fall back to pure energy bending. And when it comes to energy bending, I do not think Cosmic Korra is innately superior to Unavatu, despite her outmatching him in a clash. As I stated in the previous video, Unavatu had already been using his energy in his attack against Republic City, while Korra came in fresh from the Tree of Time. That said, I do give Cosmic Korra slight points over Unavatu because of her superior martial skill and tactical ability, as I believe that can be more effectively used in combat as opposed to waterbending, which can be subverted by her own energy or energy bending, which is basically an impasse without any outside circumstances. All said, I would put Cosmic Korra in the 99 to 100 category, or in graded terms, an SS+ class character. Anyhow, do you agree that Cosmic Korra is the most powerful character in all of Avatar, or do you believe that Unavatu, or another character, is above her? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one, where we will be discussing Kuvira's mech and Koizilla. Peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends.